are you guys doing today? Excited for another good stream with you all. Yeah, really excited for this one. Let's see here. Who's all in here? Strella, Namiria, Derulu. Waiting for the stream to start. Like, well, we're here. We're here. Okay. What are you guys spelling? Yeah, it feels like we haven't been on YouTube streaming in so long, so happy to have you guys back and be streaming with you guys again. Definitely missed you all. I don't know if you all saw, but we were live the other day on TikTok, which was pretty cool. Excited to continue with that and get some more people on there live. Definitely will be, it's like a lot different than our streams here, but yeah, it's gonna be really exciting. Gonna like set up a lot more singers beforehand to hop on there, and just different type of talents as well. Alright, cool. Let me make this. My voice is a little, okay. Yeah, that's probably a lot better. I had it on the volume where I was recording like music, so that's why the gain was a little low. Because I'm like, when I'm on here, I'm like talking, but when I'm you know, rapping, it's like a lot more intense. And now this means that you guys can just hear every single clack of my keyboard. Let me just make a quick post to Twitter as well. What are you guys doing for the weekend, by the way? You guys have any plans for the weekend so far? You know, all I'm doing this weekend, of course, is just making music. I swear I do that. That's all I do. Just create. I love creating as much as I can. I don't know what I would do without like being able to create, honestly. We're about to get started shortly. If you guys don't know, for the people who are in here, we will be bringing on a concept artist. You know her, Panda. She is part of the garden community. Hey Rigby, hey Octavian, hey Danny. And she would just be discussing concept art in a whole, the importance of it, going through some of her concept work. She's gone through one before in pretty good detail, but after talking with her that day, I really wanted to sit down and have her just go through it some more and really go more in depth for you all. I think concept art is really, really important, and especially for aspiring artists, no matter what type of art you do, I think it's important. And the steps that you go through, I think, are important as well. So yeah, I think you guys will be able to gain something out of this. I'm excited to do it. So we'll get started in like the next 2 minutes or so. You got work tomorrow? That does not sound too fun, Danny. Plans for tomorrow are just resting and painting. Not too bad though. Crying over classes starting. I know, Octavian, been a minute. And we'll definitely showcase some work after as well. So has anyone been posting in here recently? Because we'll definitely showcase your work after this too. How's the volume on everything as well? You did post your mostly finished animation from the space challenge. Awesome. Well, we will get started now. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Namaria. Yeah, we can get started now, and we'll bring on Nora. And yeah, let's just hear from her. Let me bring you on. Hey, awesome. Hey, Nora, how you doing?
Hi everyone. I'm very good. Thank you. It's Friday, weekend's coming, everything's awesome. How is
Yeah,
everybody?
I think everyone's doing well from what I'm hearing, but besides Danny, because they have to work tomorrow
Oh
again. And
no,
I know no one likes work on the weekend, but
no.
sometimes you have to do what you got to do.
I hope it's an easy day at work, Danny.
For sure. And I just want to say thank you again for joining on here. Yeah, it's always a pleasure speaking to you, and I think you have some good advice for other aspiring upcoming artists on concept art. So yeah, I'm excited to get into it. But
I hope so. I hope so. Thanks for having me, and I hope that I can share some insights and or just confirm what everyone knows. Depends on.
for sure, for sure. Well, awesome. I guess we can get into it. The first thing I guess we can start with is if you want to give a backstory on you,
Mhm.
as in depth as you like to go. I think a lot of people don't know a lot of stuff like, the Olympic stuff and all that. And I think it'd be cool for them. I know I always bring that up, but I think that's an amazing feat. So
I
yeah,
don't mind. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
mind you bringing it up. I'm so proud of this.
Awesome. Well, yeah, let's get into it then. If you want to start.
Okay. Yeah, sure. For everyone who doesn't know me, I go by Panda online, but actually my name is Nora. And the nickname Panda is kind of cute because my brother gave it to me when we were very little and it kind of stuck. So I was like, well, I should call myself Panda in my social media. So I'm from Bulgaria, and I've been doing concept art and art as a whole for 6 years now. Before that, I was an architect. I studied architecture in Germany, and from the beginning on, I was very disappointed. I went into architecture because I wanted to paint and to create, and art in my family was not a thing you should pursue for money because you can't earn money with art. It should be just for your hobby. So I studied architecture, and I soon found out it was very technical. There was no painting in there. So I was very disappointed, but I continued doing it. I was good at it, and this is the catch. When you're good at something but you hate it, you can't kind of get away because you wonder, will you be good at something else? So yeah, luckily I got pretty much fired from my job in 2019 as an architect. The company was sizing down, and they pretty much kicked out everyone who was earning a bigger salary. And it was a blessing in disguise because then I could pursue my art, and there was no fear anymore. How do I change jobs and how do I quit my job? It was done for me. So then I started pursuing art full time, and I started with a bang. Pretty much, I landed a few jobs from the beginning on, and but they were just private clients who wanted to pitch a game or an animation or something like that. And later on came also the studios. I am working with Chaser Cloud at the moment on a unannounced animation digitally, but in a classical Disney style. So that's a lot of fun. Um, and as a freelance artist, you do a lot of jobs at once. So it can happen that in one day you have to switch styles and you have to switch concepts, and your brain goes crazy and you're wondering what's going on. but it's all good because then you learn to simplify things and to make your schedule perfectly.
Mm.
So yeah, in a whole, definitely that's it. Otherwise, in my free time, you mentioned my Olympic
Yeah.
achievements. Yeah, I'm a swimmer. I've been swimming for many years, professionally or semi-professionally, and I made the 2008 Olympic team. As a swimmer, like of course, for the 100-meter butterfly. So I'm pretty proud with that achievement because most of the time I was training on my own. I'm 5'2", so I'm very short. Of course, when I go into a swimming pool, everyone's like, "You're not a swimmer, you're a gymnast." I was like, "No, I'm a swimmer." So no one wanted to coach me for a very big part of my journey. Luckily, right at the end, when I was about to go for my second Olympics, I found a coach who didn't care about my height, and he helped me a lot. So that was actually a very good lesson because in everything you do, there's always someone who helps you and is willing to help you. No matter how many people reject you, there's your family, there's your friends, and there will be also soon someone professional who can take you under their wing and help you further.
For sure. I
Yeah.
100% agree. I think that's like a really, really important lesson because a lot of the times when people don't get outside validation in the beginning, it tends to seem to hurt a lot and potentially stop them from chasing the dreams that they want to
Mm.
chase, you know? But
Yeah.
I think it is very, very important that you realize a lot of people, it's in every industry and every field, a lot of the times they don't give you the validation until they see other people doing it as well, and it's like a sheep
Absolutely.
mentality, and it's really weird that it's like that.
Yeah.
I was actually just having a conversation with someone yesterday about it, about like Instagram, and you can be doing something amazing that looks amazing, but if people don't see like a whole bunch of comments on there or likes or something, like, and we were talking about, we even catch ourselves doing it too, that like when you're, say you're on TikTok and you're scrolling, something may be good but you may not even give it the chance it deserves
Yeah.
because you automatically like look at your corner of your eye. Oh, that has like 4 likes, like, oh, it's you might watch it at first for a little bit, but then that's already in your mind, so you just like scroll past. And it's so
Absolutely.
sad that it's like that, but it's in every single industry, and it's truly that you just have to keep pushing, because if you believe in your craft and you believe in what you're doing and you're consistent with it and you never give up, it will always work out,
Absolutely.
one way or the other.
The social media is absolutely vicious. And I'm honestly very glad that I grew up, at least for the beginning of my life, without social media. And waiting for this outside validation is just so programmed into our brains that no matter what we do, we go online and we're like, oh my god, do I have likes, or was this bad, or what's happening, and then you feel bad and you don't know what's going on. But this happens in everything, and we have to learn to value ourselves and to see our progress as it is,
Mm,
rather than waiting for someone to tell us that we're bad at something
mm,
or that we're good at something. And if we have a goal and we have a dream, we definitely need to pursue it no matter what. Because if you want something, really want it, you will find a way to achieve it. And yes, I've been asked also a few times, like, how do you prevent burnout and how do you prevent, for example, also for swimming, injuries? You do not. You just handle them. You just learn to handle them because they are inevitable.
Yeah, I 100% agree. 100% agree. And yeah, I think that's a just a good point, and I hope a lot of people take that to heart. And no matter how many views you may have now, followers, just promise, I promise you that if you continue, that will change. So just, yeah, don't give up. And then like also, when you talked about, like you getting into the art field, and another big thing before we really get into like your art career is a lot of times people and their parents may not believe that they can achieve something as well. Not I and I don't think it's really ever in a way of them trying to downplay what you want to do. It's always, I think, in a way of they just never want to see their children fail.
Exactly,
So they're
exactly.
scared of it. And so how, I guess, were you able to finally get out of that mentality, and how did it feel when you realized I can do this like I always imagined?
Yeah, it is absolutely a valid point that parents do not want to stop you from achieving your dreams. Parents do not want to see you get hurt, and that's exactly why they do all their best all the time, no matter what topic it is in your life and what part it is in your life. They want you to succeed and to be happy and to feel good. So of course they do their best. However, the world changes so quickly, it's not even possible for them to comprehend it. And how can they teach us about something they don't understand themselves?
Mhm.
So it is our job to find our path. And I see it also a little bit of a challenge when someone says you can't do that. I was like, watch me.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, and how I found my ways, I just observed the world, how it changes, how people are, and what should I avoid, how to deal with the pain that it's inevitable, and how to deal with failure. And it always, with no matter what you do, even if your parent told you don't do sports, don't do art, you can't earn money with that. As soon as they see that you're so passionate about it and you really want to do it, even with no success yet, they will support you
Hmm.
fully. So it's practically your job to say, I know I'm not there yet. I know I have a very long way to go, but I enjoy this so much. I have to do this.
Hmm.
And you know the saying, shoot for the moon. If you miss, you'll land among the
Hmm.
stars. That's definitely my motto in life. And I think it helped me a lot, together with my stubbornness, to achieve what I want. And yes, sometimes it takes a very long time.
For
It
sure.
took me 10 years to go to the Olympics, and it took me 10 years of 4 to 5 hours sleep a day, full-time job, until I got there. It was brutal.
Hmm.
And now I'm dealing with the same thing with my art. Like, I started doing art, and so everyone says like, are you crazy, you're an architect, this is such a big profession, and you being an artist, this is stupid. So,
Yeah.
but it's and I know I still have a very long way to go. I definitely haven't achieved what I wanted yet, and but it's not about the goal. It's about the journey,
Hmm.
and this is what we have to remember.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And speaking about the journey, so how did you, I guess, fall in with concept art? 'Cause I know you do more than that as well, but
Yeah.
how did you fall into the path of doing concept art, and how did you realize the importance of it?
When I started creating art, I first started with portraits and landscapes, and pretty much doing um, studies. And at some point, you just test what you're good at, you test what you like doing. Of course, I don't enjoy portraits whatsoever, so I do not like requests in my email box of, can you draw my daughter? And I was like,
Mm.
yeah, maybe. um, but you know, when you're testing what you're good at and what you like, of course, if you like something that you're not good at, as it was in my case with
Mhm.
concept art, I was horrible at it. You know, you start doing stuff and then you don't know about the rules, and you don't know, of course, if you don't know the rules, you don't know how to break them, so it makes feel good and it makes it look good. So it's all of those things that I started doing with my art, and then I realized for myself, concept art is so exciting, to create the world, to create the look of the animation or the game, to create the characters and all the little details that come after. This was very intriguing to me, so I jumped right into it. And the importance, of course, it's huge. I mean, concept art technically is the building stone of any game or animation, as it served as a visual, or the visual
Mhm.
foundation. Everything is built upon it. So the clearer the concept art and the more developed the concept art, then the easier the process, the pre-production and the production of of the project.
Yeah. 100%
Yeah.
agree. And I guess that's a good segue to now get into some of them as well. So can we speak about your, I guess one of the first ones you had on here? If you
Yeah.
scroll down some.
I think it was this one.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah,
Let
yeah,
me go
yeah.
back though. I don't know. Do you mean this one? So for everyone who doesn't know, this is my portfolio. This is my current portfolio, and I have here a bunch of stuff, including some studies. I thought it's good to know what I can do outside of my personal ideas. So I think we presented this one about love and kindness.
Yeah, yeah. If I
Yeah.
guess we can go into it some
Mhm.
more as well, just
Yeah.
like your thought process behind it,
Mhm.
and I guess from the beginning to the end, if you just want to go through it, and then I know you have a couple others, and we can do the same throughout that as well. And if anyone
Sure.
has any questions, which I'm sure people do, feel free to ask them in the comments, and we'll get those answered.
Sounds like a very good plan. Okay. So before creating concept art, there always needs to be an idea, and it doesn't matter how the idea starts. In this case, it was with this very sketch. It was, of course, very more messy than this one, much messier than this one. But it was the idea of the connection between two creatures. In this case, it was a boy and a cat. And I started just painting away, not knowing where this will go. And then I created this painting. And a few days later, I was like, oh, you know what? I should just continue the story and just do another sketch, a second sketch. And then I created this one. And then the thought process was this is a story, and I started developing technically also the characters and their look. And this is definitely the beginning of the concept art. You need to answer those questions like what is the story? What is the setting? What is your theme? Who are your characters? What is the role in their narrative? Like, for example, here I didn't know yet that this boy will be alone and poor and will be living technically on his own. It was just their connection. Maybe the concept will have gone in another direction, like this was just the building that he lives in with his family, somewhere on the farm or somewhere where it's close to a lot of trees, as there are a lot of trees. But then as soon as I painted the second painting with this rag pretty much hanging here that he probably uses for a blanket, the idea started developing. And as soon as you answer those questions of who your characters are and what are they doing there, the story technically takes shape. What is and it's the tone is set. What is your overall tone, the mood you want to create? Understanding all of those aspects will practically give you your creative process, and this is exactly as it happened. I started also looking into their backstory. How did they meet? Was the cat there on his own, or did the boy find it somewhere in the field or in the grass? Was the cat alone? Was the boy luring the cat in with some food because the cat was scared? And how does it look like also after they meet? How does it look like when they sit here and watching the sunset or the sunrise? Will it be more how the environment looks like? Will it be more open, more urban, like here in this case? And who lives there? Of course, I didn't go yet into that into that detail here. Technically, the idea now is that the boy lives here on his own, and here all the fancy people who are actually bad people because they do not care for this boy who is alone. And you shouldn't be alone, especially when you're that young. Um, I jumped in a little bit to the end of the story. The thing with concept art is, unless something is required from you in a studio that you need to pursue further, because then you're working with the art director, you're working with your other colleagues. Unless you need to do something specifically, you can jump around the story as much as you want. So then I jumped right to the end. I couldn't wait to know of how the story is developing, so I wanted to know the end. It's like reading a book. You start from the beginning, you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
can't read all of it. I just want to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So this was technically the idea that although alone and he has nothing, he found out that the cat has a family, and he brings the cat to the mom and the siblings, which kind of wrapped it up. But again, like we have now the beginning and the end and what happens in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But before you go there, sometimes you need to do some research, and this is a very, very vital part of a concept art. For example, let's take Assassin's Creed. If you have seen the making of Assassin's Creed, you or any art book for that matter, the art of Moana, the art of Luca, you will see at the very beginning of the book all the references and all the research that the team has done. They even go on location. They study the real world and the historical periods. They study their art styles. And all of those references technically help ensure your designs are grounded in reality and your story is nicely wrapped in this tight package, let's say, so it doesn't get lost. Nothing gets lost in your head. Of course, it's a little bit different when you work in a team. When you work alone, you have to technically ask all of those questions yourself, but this is also part of the process. So brainstorming, sketching away as much as you can is definitely a part of it, as I did here. Let me just skip a little bit. This is, for example, explorations of the boy. What is he wearing? How does he look like before all of his clothes got thrown away? What are his expression? What is his character practically? And then you can sketch anything comes to mind that helps developing the story. For example, the shape of the clothes, the shape of the room, how does it look like, what are the details, what are the folds of his clothing. Everything brings to that story. And to get there, you have to brainstorm and sketch a lot. Technically, you're having, especially if you're working with yourself on your own, you have to have meetings with yourself. You can even schedule them in your calendar and say, like, today I want to discuss with myself that topic. Uh, and when you do that, when you technically pretend that you're talking to someone else, all of those questions become much more clear, and it's easier to shape them and to develop them. So you practically have this probably massive sketchbook when you do all kind of messy sketches in there that help you stay on track. And then from there you start developing the silhouettes, as I did here with the cat and the boy, and all the characters, the creatures. You can do the same also for the props, like lamps, if you have any trees, and anything that help you actually get to the end that you want to do. And for example, the more distinctive is the word. More distinctive the silhouette, the better the character, because it's very easily recognizable. Of course, after silhouettes come more the details of how exactly they look like. But for example, these are some of my references. How does he look like? What are the very typical things for that character that make him him? In this case, it was the torn clothes, the shoes that are way too big for him. Maybe he found them in the trash can. Maybe they are left over from a brother who passed away. These are all questions that you can answer in your process. And then again, we come to the functionality of all of this, which is absolutely crucial. Think about how your character and objects will move and interact within the game or the animation world. Ensure that your concept is supported, or actually it's not supported, but it supports the gameplay mechanics. Doesn't hinder the player, actually guides the player to what he needs to do next. And the same with the animation. If you're working on animation, the concept guides the story into all of its development.
Yeah, that makes complete sense, honestly, and it makes sense why you have to go in such detail and depth, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be able to create to the magnitude that you are able to create, like the actual piece, you know. All those little details definitely matter. And two questions that people had: Derulu said, on your landscape art, do you have a simple process to share with us when drawing a full ambient from sketch to digital painting?
My process varies from idea to idea and from project to project. Sometimes I start with a very simple line sketch, um, and and then I go into blocking out the shapes, and from then filling them in with the colors that which sets technically the mood.
Mhm.
Sometimes I skip the line art and go directly into messy colors, which really look not very good. To like that. For example, if I do that for a client, I wouldn't show this to the client because sometimes even it wouldn't make sense to them.
Mhm.
They're that messy. But once you have that idea on paper, it starts developing on its own. So taking practically the process is whatever you feel gets you to the end product. For example, for this sketch, I started directly with the colors, and I went through. Unfortunately, I don't have them anymore, but I went through a few explorations of how these shapes will look like. In the beginning, I had this massive rock over here, but then it doesn't look good. And in the process itself, you start developing the colors. And the awesome part about this is, for example, I started with just the yellows and the oranges, but then as it developed, all of those nice and soft and tender pinks started coming into the picture that gave it this extra that it needed.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And it's interesting how you say, like, even though you are doing multiple type of, like, if it's like more sloppy sketch, even if you don't show it to the actual team,
Yep.
how important it is to
It
still
is
do it.
very important. Absolutely. I'll show you now, for example, this art. If you want to see anything from the previous one, let me know. There's still some developments, but that I didn't show you. But it's technically not crucial. What I wanted to show you here is, for example, my very, very first sketch. It's not that. Wait for it. It's coming. This thing. How does this look like?
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like when someone sees that, they'll be like, what's happening here? Like I don't even think they'll understand the idea. But this I drew on a way to a party
Hmm.
in the subway on my phone with my finger.
Wow, wow.
And this comes to my second point. For whether as an artist, make sure you have a sketchbook or something to draw on anywhere.
Hmm.
For example, now I work at home, and it's very easy for me, even if I watch a movie and I have this idea, it's very easy for me to run to the next room, get my sketchbook, and sketch it very fastly in. But now in the subway, it was not possible because I'm a lady. I have a very tiny handbag. Nothing goes in there except keys and phone.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can't bring a sketchbook with me. Therefore, I installed an app which is free. Of course, I won't be using it all the time, so it doesn't make sense for me to pay for it. But it's accessible, and this actually helps you later because you will not forget your idea. If
Hmm.
you just think of it and you're like, oh, this is awesome, and then you go on with your life, you will forget it. I
Yeah.
guarantee it to you. But if you look at this, as messy as it looks, you will remember it exactly as you actually imagined at the beginning. And
For
then
sure.
later you get the, like this also messy, but idea and variation of what you want to do. And then you develop it further with a little bit more clearer design, and then it takes from there to value sketches, which can be also part of the painting process,
Mhm.
to go back to this question previously. And from there you can have color keys and the final render.
Yeah, it's funny you talked about, like, anytime you have an idea to just
Mm.
write it down, because a lot of my ideas, I swear, come like as I'm about to fall asleep, like, because my mind just starts running, and
Yeah.
I'll be fighting myself because I'm like, wow, like, do I really want to get up right now and just grab my phone to write it? Because, like, I'm trying to sleep, but I know it's important, because when, even if it's not something like you said, that's really detailed. As long as it's something that you will remember, it is so important.
Yeah.
And then real quick before we keep going deeper, Namiria had a question. She
Yeah.
said, what is your number one tip for painting backgrounds?
My number one tip is references in your head. Absolutely, the most important thing are the references in your head, and this comes with practice. Do studies as often as possible. If you have a day off and you're bored, you don't have any chores, sketch away. Get a painting from a master, get a painting or even a screenshot of a animation, a game, anything, or go outside and paint, because all those shapes that you're noticing there, all those colors, all those lights and the mood, you remember and you store it in your head, and this is where actually ideas come from.
100%.
So yeah, so this is actually, I guess, a tip for anything. So not very specific to the questions, which I apologize about. But then the more you paint, you teach your hands, your body how to draw. So you additionally have the muscle memory of it, and then the library in your head with all of those ideas. They were not yours, but that doesn't matter, because from that your brain starts imagining more and more and more. And then when you start painting the background, or a character, you have already the know-how of how composition works, how the lighting works, how can you cheat those additionally, or how you can exploit them to their absolute limits and pretty much explode the rules, as for example now Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse did. This was pushed to the maximum, and it was absolutely stunning.
For sure. Yeah, 100% agree. And someone actually in here, Darilu said, gonna try to implement your idea later on this. And Namiria and Danny were saying those sketches, like the first ones, was like mine are equally messy sometimes. So I think everyone's the same way. When you're creative, it's like that first step is just getting the idea out.
Absolutely.
Because
That's why, yeah.
Because like you said,
Definitely.
it's so easy to just say I'm going to do it later. Like I push a lot of things off in my life, but when it comes to like creativity and like ideas like that, I don't play with, because I will be so mad if I forget that. Because even though some things may be more important at the time to not push off, when it just comes to anything creative, I'm like, okay, I need to remember this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can happen that you're somewhere where you can't just start sketching because it will be rude, or so you can't just do it at any time, but do it as often as possible. Also, a thing that I don't do frequent enough, but I've heard it's very helpful to a lot of people, is meditation sketching. You just get a pen and paper, or digitally, doesn't matter, and without thinking, you just start scribbling. You just put something in, and it relaxes your brain. It again teaches your hand what to do, and very often interesting things come out of it. I haven't had luck with it yet. I usually have a very fixed idea and very clear picture in my mind of what I want to do. Maybe it's a good thing, maybe not so much, but yeah, try it out, see what works for you.
For sure. Yeah, sorry, some of Namiria in the chat just made me laugh. But when you also talked about getting ideas maybe from like other things you see and then building off of it, not necessarily references yet, but just being inspired by others. Can you talk a little bit more about that in the aspect of sometimes people are scared to quote unquote copy others, but you have to realize that everything that is made is essentially copies of a whole bunch of things mashed into one. So can you, I guess, like talk a little bit about that, of how to get over that as an artist, and to like not have that mindset of what you're creating isn't good enough or original enough?
The answer is very complicated and very simple at the same time. Practice. Practice is the answer. And that's the only thing that actually will get you out of there, especially when you're just starting to create something. To create your art, you will always copy something, but that's okay. I mean, when we were kids, what did we draw? We drew horses and butterflies and simplified houses. And this is how it starts. And now it's the same thing. Going back again to those studies that I've previously mentioned, you can post them. You can be as close to your reference as you want to, or you can make it your own and make it very stylized. The main thing is, if you post it somewhere online, of course, always give credit to where you get it from. Especially if it's an artist, always mention them. However, from those references, you develop your own thing. In my case, for example, I don't know if everyone goes through that or my mind was just weird, but I was also very scared that I can't create anything. So I started just copying artists, and then you go through the process of changing just a little bit, a tiny bit, or adding a character, or adding a cloud, or adding a house, and then you slowly start developing your own taste and your own style. And technically, with all of that practice, you look at your art and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so bad, I cannot show it to anyone. But then don't do it for yourself. If you don't feel confident, do it for yourself, or talk to someone, reach out to other artists to comment on your work. Even if it's a study, you can show them the original, you can show them yours, and ask them anything you want to, just for feedback.
For
And
sure.
I think with the practice, the more you do, the less you care what everyone thinks, because you have this idea in your head, and you know that even though your skills right now might not be at that level that you can express it what you want to, it will get there.
Yeah, 100% agree. David also said it's not copying others' art if you don't claim it as yours. You can do studies
Exactly.
by tracing your favorite artists and learn from them.
Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's a good point. And another point that you made, Nora, about like how you would copy people and then like next time you do it, you change one thing. It's the same in a lot of different creative fields. Like, for example, speaking on personal experiences, some of my favorite artists are like Drake, Mac Miller, Kanye, Jay-Z, and there's a lot like Travis. There's a lot of like times I spent just literally making songs that are exactly like these people. And then as you're doing that, you slowly figure out things that you like from each different style, and you start to like then just make a song rather than making a song like this person. You may be inspired, but now you've practiced so much that you can just easily just tap into certain parts of that sound or certain parts of that painting or that art that
Yeah.
you inherently made your own,
Yeah.
and it just comes out naturally from
Yeah.
there. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so
Yeah.
definitely agree. And with this piece right here, when it came to conceptualizing it, what was the hardest part about this whole process?
Honestly, nothing. This was the one piece that I have in my life that it was very smooth from the beginning till the end. I don't know how it happened. I guess there's no magic pill for it, because I will take it immediately. But this was the one and only piece that I had so complete in my head. I knew from the beginning that I wanted to make it like a first day of school topic with the autumn and with the school bus, and I just knew that the road will be there. I just, the only thing that I was figuring out was if I want to have this design or this design, with the kids up front, or with the kids, or with the main characters in the front. That was the only thing that I had to figure out. Everything else with the purples and the colors, I just had it in my head. And honestly, I was very surprised, because this never happens.
For
This
sure.
never happens. And it was a very nice surprise, actually. I hope I have more of those.
And then I also, I guess, want to go on into the next one that you have as well. And I guess you can go through that process too. Even if it's similar, it's cool to
Yeah.
just still hear from the beginning to the end.
Yeah. This one, I actually got very inspired from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And going back to references, I use the same style. I use the same colors, and there's nothing wrong with it, honestly. um, because it's I haven't copied anything, but I wanted to make something that is uh, not as similar, but I so love the vibe of it, and I was like, I need to create something similar. So just watching the animation and painting away, and then I tapped into my own experience, which I very often do. Most of my pieces are created by something that I lived, or some characteristic of mine. And one of my very pronounced characteristics are, I cannot keep plants alive. I bring a cactus into my home and it dies. I was like, why? Why don't you like me? So I had this idea of this orange cat, which was fitting very well with the yellows that I observed in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and all of the colorfulness. And this exactly was the idea, bringing these dead things into such a happy environment, and they're still dead. How does this happen? So I started painting the cat, and of course he had to be very smart, because that was one of the traits of I wanted him to have. And I wanted to create this contrast of him being um, very well read. He has a high education. You can see it on the books here that I developed later. The huge books, huge case. And you may say, like, yeah, but it's not enough bookcases. Well, compared to his room, which is just that, I think it's lots. So practically the main idea was really this, with a few variation that I can show you now a little bit further, exploring of what views that I want to have. This was a filler. I highly recommend it if you want to put something in your portfolio, but you feel it's not enough. It doesn't have to have been part of your creative process. You can do it later. You can still go back and say, like, oh, I want to make another view of the room, for example, and put it as an addition and kind of pretend it has been part of your process. No one knows, don't worry. So practically this was the main picture, with the cat reading in a book how the hell will he revive those plants. Having everything here, and the main idea of this painting was actually all the details that I wanted to go into. Multiple books, the scissors, the pot soil, the home plants for dummies book. So practically he tried everything. The mouse, which is a mouse literally, uh, but it's a mouse for a laptop, so it's. And then I wanted to develop further the story of showcasing how he lives, and exploring his room. The book, the lots of books referring to his smartness, the coziness of his couch, the cat, which is probably his only friend because he's probably too smart for anyone to understand him. But then again, his creativeness with the music and with the Japanese on the wall. I don't remember actually what it said. I think it was Home Sweet Home, something like that. I don't remember. And then one dead plant over here, another one going to die over there. So really my main agenda here was to go into as many details as possible about his life, including his table. He's a cat, so his table is a scratching post. And his nightstand is also a scratching post. And of course, I made also a little description of who he is, like that he's well educated, that he loves reading and plants, but he cannot keep them alive. And I wanted to make those very architectural, actually looking plans of his room, an exploration. Where does he go in? How does it look like? And honestly, if you work in a studio, this might be also required. Because it especially if it's gonna build in 3D, the 3D team needs to know exactly what they're gonna build. This might be important details. And also value sketches. Value sketches are also very helpful in creating the mood, because now if you look at the final painting, the main painting, there's so many colors, it's not very easy to see the values of it. But then once you look away from it, once you bring it into black and white, this is exactly the result. So I highly recommend it. If you do a very complicated color scheme, definitely do value sketches and have them always on top of your screen, and also bring a black and white filter on top of your color key.
Mm-hmm.
So you can always switch it on and off and see if you're on track.
That makes a lot of sense, because once you came down to this, it showed the importance of that, of like you said, value sketching, because then you can really see the highlights of what needs to be darker, lighter, and what needs to pop out more. So you, when you go over to the actual color drawing and the final product, you at least have a reference you can go back to understand, okay, this is not how it should be looking or should be feeling, and the values are slightly off. And what I guess made you learn that? Was that something I was taught, or do you kind of just learn it as you went on through trial and error?
Both actually. At the very beginning of my art journey, I know it's very wrong to say luckily it was during the pandemic, because I know a lot of people got hurt, and I'm very sorry for that. But the very big plus of this was that everything went online. And especially in my country, you don't have those calibers of classes that you do, that you can find online now. And I took this one class. It was with Nathan Fox. Maybe some of you know him. He's a very big star in the industry. He's worked on multiple animations, including How to Train Your Dragon. And I took actually a class with him, and it was a class with corrections. So there was always homework, and then he will comment on it. And this was the one thing that I couldn't do. It was knowing my what actually my main thing is that I'm looking at. What is my focal point? And I didn't know how to express it. And those value sketches do exactly that. For example, where is your biggest contrast? This is your focal point. And it's very nice to hear it from someone who has been so experienced, and technically knowing how to place your items actually, and your characters and everything that's in your painting, where to place them. These are very, very important rules, and of course you need to learn them either way. You can learn them on your own, or you can take classes, or you can listen to someone. Even if you work and you're not expected to be talking or to listening to some of your colleagues, or at school, for example, they have to pay attention. Otherwise, if you're just doing some, easy work, you can, and you're at home, you can maybe listen to interviews. You can listen to someone talking about their work progress, just randomly, artists on YouTube, for example, and you do learn stuff like that. And it is very important because, for example, to go back to this one, here is my biggest contrast, and this is my focal point, and also here is my biggest contrast, so this is my focal point. And the cat is technically a supportive character in this picture.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but if you look here, it's so colorful. So you might get overwhelmed.
Yeah, for sure. And then Somnio had a question. They said, how important is the relationship between the art style and the concept art itself? Are there any problems that can happen because of it?
Yes. Your style must match your concept. For example, if you're doing a very gloomy topic, you can't go all too happy with your brushes and with your colors. This will not match. So it is very important to find that style, and this is one thing that you need to figure out during your self-talks or your brainstorming. This collaboration and the refinement of the process. Don't be afraid to make revisions based on your own feedback, or maybe a feedback of a friend of yours. Maybe you show that to someone and they went like, maybe not. So if it, so if that happens, you know you're not on the right track. Or even a very good thing that I always follow is never submit your art right after you have created it. If you have a longer deadline, if you have a deadline and your deadline is a little bit longer, always shut down everything, even sleep on it. If you have even a few days, look at it after a few days, because then you see it with fresh eyes and you see all the mistakes and that something's mismatching. And it's the same with the style. The style must support your narrative. Of course, you can go, you can make it any way you want it, but then you must do all those adjustments.
Yeah, that makes sense. It feels like it would just be more fluid if you did the concept art in the same style as the actual piece as well, especially if you're doing a company type project. I feel like they would understand it more if it could translate easily to what they want the end product to kind of look like.
If you are the one who is finding the style, yes. Usually especially when you're in a starting position, you're, for example, a background painter. I've been also a background painter, and then I got the style given to me. So, but then there are all of those style guides. I don't know if you guys have heard about them. The style guide is created by the art director usually, or the concept artist, or both. So the consistency of the visual style of the concept is vital for creating the narrative. And you can create a style guide for yourself, and actually there you can also explore what your style will be. When you work on your own, with me at least, is I usually know the style beforehand, or I need to find it still. For example, with that first project that I showed you with the boy and the cat, I didn't know exactly what style I'm going to have, if it's going to be very realistic or more stylized. But then once I started developing the characters, I knew that I need to go more stylized, because this fits the narrative better.
Yeah, 100%. And I kind of want to transition before I let you go into when you went to school to be an architect. A lot of people that I interview, it's really funny because a lot of artists that I interview end up saying they went to architect school first and then ended up leaving and dropping out or finishing it and doing a little bit of architecture and then going into just their art field. Without deterring people, because obviously you want everyone to make their own choice. Can you talk about your experience as how I guess studies were as an architect and a job as an architect, and the differences and I guess parallels it has with actual creating art? I mean, architecture is art as well, obviously, but in the style that we're talking about too, if you want to talk about that.
Well, as I mentioned, I went into architecture because I wanted to be artistic and I wanted to paint and do stuff with my hands, but of course this was not true. The thing was that I didn't have the resources to research what I'm going into. Having said that though, I think I would have still gone into architecture, because it's a very interesting field. And I went into the Leibniz University of Hanover. This is in Germany, and the education there for architecture is very design orientated. And I know that architecture schools can be very different. Some of them are more technical. You do more math and you do more admin in your studies, but what we did was 90% design. Of course, we had physics, we had structural engineering with all the math and everything. We had art classes, we had molding classes, of clay and building all of those physical models of the architecture that we designed or something else. So actually it was very, very interesting. And I must say architecture is interesting. And it's a very broad field to work in, because once finished you can decide what you want to do. If you want to be a technician and just draw up what the main architect in the company has done, if you want to do more calculations, so technically it's rather something like accounting, but not exactly, because you're calculating how everything will cost. Or if you go into design, unfortunately not all companies offer those things separately, so you can find yourself doing everything, all of this at once. The thing is, though, the more experience you gain as an architect, the more admin work you will do, and it is natural because you know what's going on, you know about the processes, so it's only natural that you then lead teams and you lead the builders and you have all of those meetings with the builders. So I guess this is exactly what threw me off, because I was very happy doing the architectural design, but then calculating costs, no, not for me. Not for me. And honestly, I know people, well, former colleagues of mine, they were so into architecture. When they see a building in front of them, or when they see an article about something, they go nuts about it. They start talking about it and they cannot shut up about it. This is when I realized, actually, I'm not into architecture because I care.
Yeah.
Taking it as a field, it's very, very interesting, and it prepared me perfectly actually for concept art, because I have insights that some people might not have about the details and about how everything is standing. Not that you can't learn it, but still I have it already.
Yeah.
So taking, that's actually what was the giveaway that I shouldn't proceed with architecture, is that I hated it. I hate talking about it. When work was done and when it was 7 o'clock or 5 o'clock, no matter what time I finished, that was it. I didn't want to hear anything about it. And with art is different. I can talk about it all day long.
Yeah.
It's my giveaway that I should actually switch. And then switching to art, it was very difficult for me, also from that our architecture is much more technical. So my brain was much more technical. And all of a sudden, I'm in this very creative field. And actually, Nathan Fowles said it as well in one of my corrections. He was like, I see that you have a very technical mind. And I was like, really? How?
Yeah.
I didn't understand how he sees that. But now, having seen both sides, my brain built a bridge between the two, the technical part and the art part. And I think it's very helpful to me in my creations.
For sure. Yeah, 100%.
If someone wants to go into architecture, do it.
Yeah. And then the last question that someone had was, can you also study 3D art in architecture?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We had also those, I forgot to mention it. You have those tons of classes about software. I think during my studies, which was 6 years long, I think I learned 10 different softwares.
Oh, wow.
Half of them were 3D and half of them were 2D. For example, Maya, I started learning Maya when it was the very first Maya out there.
Oh, wow.
And Photoshop as well, because then you need to photo bash everything and to display it and to present it to the client or to the professor. So you have that as well. Absolutely.
Awesome. And then Namiria said, tell Panda I love her hair.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Do you think I should go blonde? Because I'm considering it for
really?
a while now. Yeah.
Yeah, I love your hair how it is now, but I bet it will look amazing blonde as well.
Thanks.
Of course. And lastly, before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like to leave the stream with? Any final notes, advice? Yeah, anything.
Maybe just a compliment, because I go very often to the garden site, and it's the art I see is absolutely stunning. And of course you see the different levels of the artists, but please keep posting, please keep making art. I mean, it doesn't matter what level you're at. It's absolutely amazing that people paint and do what they love, and even if you don't like your art, you'll get better. Don't worry. It's all a process, and I'm so happy when I see people doing what they love. It just fills my soul. So keep it up, guys. Absolutely.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nora. I really appreciate the conversation, like always, and can't wait to chat with you again. But until then, I hope you enjoy yourself and wish you luck with all your ventures going forward. Yeah, we'll definitely talk again soon.
Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun, and I encourage everyone to just pitch in. Yeah, thanks for having me. It was really a lot of fun, and I hope we chat again soon.
Awesome. Well, you enjoy the rest of your weekend, okay?
Thank you. You too.
All right, bye.
Bye.
That was amazing. Absolutely love speaking to her, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Yeah, what did you guys think about the conversation? How did you guys like it? Yeah, I'd definitely love to hear your feedback on it, but I absolutely loved it, and am excited about more about her and her goals in the future as well. So before we hop off of here today, it seems like it's gonna be a little short stream. Would you guys want me to showcase a little bit in the garden before I hop off of here? Also, starting next week, on Wednesday, I believe we'll have another artist come on who is a professional illustrator who works at a studio out of, I believe it's England, originally from Spain, and now she works as an illustrator for a studio out in England. Yeah, I believe so. So excited to have her on. And from going into next week, we will be streaming not only in not only into YouTube, but we'll be directly streaming into TikTok as well. But yeah, you're more than welcome, Panda. We appreciate you bringing it on here, and yeah, we loved it. Yeah, Namiria, exactly. I definitely want to keep like the meme stuff in the server for sure, and then keep like the stuff we post on our platform, YouTube, TikTok. Definitely want to keep that as professional as possible going forward. But yeah, as someone, Somnio said, as someone who loved unlocking concept art in games, it was awesome. Yeah, I love that. Love that you got some good advice out of it. Derulo said it was helpful. Thank you, Panda. Yeah, it definitely was. And I'm really happy you all enjoyed it, and really can't wait till the next one, which I believe is Wednesday. So I'll send you guys all the invite to that, and hope to see you on there. Yeah, and then I can just wait, I guess, to show some more work next stream. Let's see. Yeah, David, that's something we definitely can talk about as our community as well. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. 1 second. Since Strella and Octavian are both in here, I believe, we will just showcase those two, their work in here real quick before we hop off. Second. So this is something Octavian made. Said it's something made for school because my teachers won't let me in peace till I don't show them what I can do. Okay, so this is learning some Photoshop. This is really nice. Yeah, this is sick. And this was all created with Photoshop. That's insane. I wonder if any 3D, like, because this part kind of looks 3D. I wonder if it was like 3D mixed with Photoshop. Like a little photo bashing and stuff. This is fire. Really good. What do you guys think? 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. And thank you for everyone who sticking in here as well. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah, for sure. This is a 10. I love this. 10, 8. Yeah, this is... I always love to see Octavian's work in here. Really, really talented and creative person, for sure. Awesome. So we'll show one more before we hop off on here for today. And then, yeah. Panda said, my only comment will be to bring a bit more depth to the building at the back. Yeah, I could see that. So Somnio said 9.5. Yeah, this is a really great piece. And then I believe the last piece we're about to show is Strella's. And this is their longer animation for the Space Challenge because they didn't finish the full one before. So yeah, they just went to show the exact full animation. This is sick though. This is crazy, crazy good. Wow. Wow. Yeah, Strella, you killed this, man. I always love seeing Strella's works in here. Wow, this is so good. So good. Yeah, what? This is fire. Wow, wow. Yeah, great work, Strella. And I'm like, I was waiting for it to like fully dock. I guess you're gonna give us another update in the future about it. 9 for the first, 9.5 for the second. Yeah, this was great. This was great. This is giving me Alien vibes. Nice. 10. Yeah. Fire. 10. Great Soyuz model. Yeah, this is crazy. UAP? What's UAP, by the way? Now I have to show this one though that David made. This meme that David made. I will show this one, and like I said, we're that's something we're deciding on about the whole meme things of like, 'cause we don't want to make it just like meme culture on our like YouTube. Discord, it's fine, like be yourself in Discord, but YouTube, like when of course we want like more artists or not more artists but just creatives on here to be like really more professional, so it is like that for you all, but obviously still want to have fun and still joke with you and stuff. But definitely want to keep like, I guess, the Discord like that, where it's like you guys get off your laughs, jokes and all that, but on stream sometimes won't go like crazy with some of the memes, but still will show this one because this one is kind of funny. From David. Bro, you actually did kind of scare me. I did for a second think that was real. I'm not gonna lie. I did for a second think that was real, and bro, that is kind of terrifying. Please don't ever do that again, because I was actually pretty scared about that. Oh yeah. Yeah, but awesome. Great. Thank you guys so much for thank you for being a part of the stream again. So we should be streaming again Wednesday and then Friday. Remember, that's when the challenge is. So make sure to have your work in by then. That's really important, so you guys can be part of the challenge. yeah, excited about it. And then Wednesday, once again, we'll bring on another artist. So thank you all so much for being a part of it. We really, really appreciate it. And can't wait to don't say look behind me, because I like actually will look, and that is scaring me. Bro, don't put that in my head, okay? Because I work in here at night all the time. Thank you guys so much. It was another amazing stream. I'm so appreciative of you all. Without you all, this wouldn't be possible once again. So I just want to say thank you all. Yeah, it really means a lot that we can do this together, and can't wait till the next one. So to then, ka-chow, my friends. Ka-chow.